Okay, so hi everyone, welcome to another Applied Ethology webinar series hosted by the Animal Welfare Slack Workspace. My name is Laura Salazar, and on behalf of Christian, Sebastian, and Yan we thank you for joining us today. Today we have a talk that was organized together with Lyft. Ebru will introduce to us what Lyft is and their speaker in a minute. So before that, it'd be great if everyone could help me double check your mic is on mute and your camera is turned off. Also, if you had any questions or comments, please type them in the chat box and we can go through them at the end of the talk. Or you can also raise your hand at the end of the talk and we'll call your name. So today we are happy to have Dr. Bahadir Odevci talking about how a digital application integrating challenges, rewards, storytelling, and feedback mechanism can lead to a positive shift in our attitudes towards animal welfare in farmers in his talk titled Gamification for Positive Animal Welfare, Engaging Farmers Through Play. So now, Ebru, if you would like, I give you the floor to introduce Lyft and Dr. Bahadir Odevci.
Sure, thank you, Laura. Today our webinar is a special collaboration with the Coast Action Lyft. So Lyft is lifting farm animal lives, laying the foundation for positive animal welfare. So Lyft is a 4-year EU-funded cost action project that will provide background for including positive welfare in farm animal welfare assessment. The action started in November 2022 and will continue to November 2026. So currently the action has already more than 350 participants from more than 40 countries, different countries. So within Lyft, we have a sub-working group called Bridging the Disciplines, where we aim to bring interdisciplinary perspectives and methodologies to inform our understanding of positive animal welfare. Hence, why we have this seminar series, and we really thank to Animal Welfare Slack Workspace for collaborating with us and providing this platform. So today, speaker is Bahadir Odevci. So Bahadir Odevci is founder of Immunotechnologies. He is a researcher and project partner at United Arab Emirates University. His academic work focuses on integrating artificial intelligence, IoT-based monitoring and data analytics into animal production systems, with particular emphasis on improving reproductive efficiency, animal welfare, and farm sustainability. Dr. Odevci contributes applying AI-driven image analysis for enhanced reproductive and welfare outcomes, particularly in small ruminant, as well as initiatives that use gamification to increase farmer engagement in positive animal welfare. So through his interdisciplinary expertise, combining computer science and animal science, he helps advance innovative, academically grounded solutions that bridge smart technologies with practical challenges of livestock farming. So, Bahadir Odevci, I think the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ebru. Yes, apart from what you have introduced, I am a practical sheep farmer as well. I've practiced sheep farming for about 5-6 years because I'm an entrepreneur. Coming from IT background, I worked for IBM in the Netherlands for years, but then founded my own technology company. Imona is the research partner for UAE University. But in the meantime, as part of that, I practiced sheep farming as well. So I've always been with the animal. I've always loved the farm animal. In particular, my love is especially to sheep, to be very honest. But in the meantime, my PhD thesis was about applying machine learning and AI into precision livestock management in intensive sheep breeding form to be able to control the full operation by the means of data extraction throughout the farm with all the dynamics in it. So that as an entrepreneur, on one hand, I have control over what is going on in the farm, in many perspectives. So that if I measure it, I'll be able to manage it as an entrepreneur. So I can, put my time into this. That was my philosophy at the beginning. Then my PhD went quite well with due to the fact that I am a farmer. At the same time, I have quite an amount of data, to be able to measure new things. So my papers published in several Q1 journals, and after that, PhD was complete. But I'm not an academician in that sense. I'm an entrepreneur and a sheep enthusiast bundled with AI, I would say. Yeah, thank you very much for the introduction. And this is actually the work that I'll be presenting reflects a little bit of that, actually. Because in the meantime, in Imona, our flagship product is about gamification, enterprise gamification, and behavioral change. So, I mean, this work is a little bit about combining human behavioral change towards animal welfare in a farm environment. There are several phases to this, and I will try to present you what we have done in UAE University as the first phase, and the following phases hopefully will follow, because it's quite an exciting work. And as we were talking before the presentation, it boils down to human behavior and the change. Human behavioral change is paramount towards positive animal welfare, and we have some tools to make it happen. So no further ado, let me get started with the presentation. So, yeah, what is gamification? Well, we are all familiar with games and the game mechanics around them. Applying game mechanics to non-game environments, we call it as gamification. And non-game environments and applying game mechanics, I can give very brief examples, like in corporate life, like think of a call center agent, while doing their work as daily in a daily business, while they're doing what they are supposed to do, they earn points. If they do the right things to do in a game, in a work setting, then they gain more points. Like they answer the calls, use the right phrases on the call, close the deal over the phone, and be more productive. And so these are all digital traces that and they leave to the systems. These digital traces, in case they represent positive behavior towards the profitability of the company, then they earn more points. They'll be able to follow this through an app, of course. And then it becomes a competitive environment. So it's not only the individual, also the other peers are in the same game, whether be it call center agent, or in project management settings, like project teams in agile methodology. Employees are working towards the same goal. In software engineering, testers can be doing their work, do tests.
Bahadir?
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt you, but it feels like you're using slides just now. Because they are not being shared at this moment.
My slides are not shared?
Oh, sorry, no. Sorry, no, my mistake. Apologies. No, my
problem,
mistake.
no problem.
Continue,
Yeah.
sorry.
No problem. So, like I was referring to the game mechanics, so we can apply the same game mechanics towards different verticals. The examples that I've been giving was on enterprises. Like we define core mechanics, like earning points, earning badges. If some mission is completed, there'll be levels that the more points you make, you jump over different levels. There are always leaderboards, daily leaderboards, weekly leaderboards, monthly leaderboards, and then duels. So if we define a task that's carried out in the course of a day, a business, whatever be it, and if there's a digital trace to it, then if completing that, like sending an offer to a customer through the CRM system, would be an enact the action that is in favor of the company's overall profitability. Then we define it as an action to do, like if the in CRM system when we have contacts as the sales teams. And if we put the emails of those contacts in the CRM system, then we earn points because that's a behavior that is, even though it's not directly targeting the sales itself, closing the deal, but it's like an indirect way of closing the deal, going towards that goal. But it's the right behavior in a daily routine. Then it is gaining points. So we were able to apply gamification and game mechanics in different enterprises, in different scenarios in the past, and still we are doing that as our company. So and we have realized the fact that this game mechanics stimulates curiosity, and this is in overall it stimulates and triggers intrinsic motivation, and people becomes part of that challenge more willingly compared to why they would do their daily business. Why? Because they earn salary in monthly basis, and they have rent to pay. These are all extrinsic motivational factors. Whereas curiosity is an intrinsic motivation. Competitiveness and being compete with peers is an intrinsic motivation. And like feeling like being part of a community, and serving a goal for the good of human mankind or animals is intrinsic motivation. So the aim of gamification projects in overall is to be able to trigger intrinsic motivation in the target audience that you're targeting. So we have quite a rich toolkit actually. These levels, badges, leaderboards, challenges, duels. We have the software, we have the tool. So well, this animal welfare was a vertical to apply this, and the aim was obviously transforming this intrinsic motivation towards animal welfare and make it enjoyable at the same time, make it engaging also, because I will talk about the game plan, the game details shortly. But one of the main ideas behind any gamification project is to be able to trigger engagement. So and we achieve this around 200%. That people are more interested in what's going on here, who are others, what are others doing, etc. And then that's the foundation. And let me give you a little bit more theory about gamification. I don't want to intend to extend this part, but really there are certain theory behind the foundations behind the gamification theories, which makes it work actually. Hook model, if you have time, you can search for it. The hook model is important. This is about the triggers. In the digital perspective, these are push notifications. If you're using a mobile app, I'm sure you've also used the Duolingo, which is very famous with its push notifications being, engaging you into the language learning process. Similarly, in any vertical, whatever you are gamifying, these triggers are critical. And in our case, these triggers are also enriched by LLM. So it's more personalized. Personalized triggers is yet another way of triggering intrinsic motivation, because in the first place, it's talking about yourself. The system is telling you something that's very specific about you, and encouraging you for the next best action. So in the hook theory I'm referring here, as you see, the trigger comes about and it motivates you towards the next best action. And then if you complete that action, whatever that behavior is, then you are subject to a variable reward, and that's the reward market. That's the right triangle: trigger, action, and reward market. If you set up this triangle in the right way, then people are interested. People would like to do these things to be able to reach to that. And in case they spend time and effort throughout this process, then they will be curious about the outcome, the final point where the competition is about to come to an end. Like you think it of similar to like you're watching basketball, European basketball. You know, if you watch EuroLeague and if you start from the very beginning and follow throughout the league, then Final Four, which is the final part of the competition, is very exciting, you know, event for you because you invested in it. So these type of competitions use these game mechanics quite extensively, and they capture people because they invested in it time and effort, and then it's now interesting for them. So the hook model says that, and flow theories. This is related to anything we engage with in life in terms of our hobbies and all that. If it requires so much skills, if it is very challenging, if it's very hard to complete, like as if you are going to yoga, but you know the first day, second day, the fifth day, it becomes too challenging for you physically, mentally, or whatsoever, then you stay away from it if it is not something that you really can take on. Similarly, if you are engaged with an activity, but it is not, you know, not that much of a skill is required for that. It's very simple and easy for you. You get bored and stay away from it. Flow theory says that, you know, you should design the game in such a way that it's not too hard, not too easy either. It keeps you engaged throughout. So that's why the way you define and design games is so critical in that sense, so that you can keep people engaged and keep on doing that. So that's also a domain expertise that we used in this project as well. While you know, in the first phase, while we applied game mechanics on the learning part of about animal welfare. So if you do it right, then it will definitely engage. And self-determination theory is the last theory I'll mention about this. Autonomy, competence, and relatedness. So they want to be part of the leaderboard. They want to feel like this is part of their challenge because it's part of their competency. They want to feel like people want to feel like they are skilled enough to be part of this. And autonomy, they want to be able to make choices independently about which missions to complete first, or to whom to challenge and send a duel request. You know, these are the main psychological mediators, so to say, that's been described very well by self-determination theory. And we combine game mechanics, game dynamics, and components together with that, and as an outcome, it leads to learning motivation. And as an outcome in further stages, it will lead to, you know, behavioral change towards, you know, doing the right thing in terms of improving positive animal welfare in farm environment. If you set this up properly, then the shepherd will be aware of what is the outcome, what's the consequence of their actions in the farm. And as long as the game is played as in favor of the animals' welfare, the shepherd will be also happy about it because he earned more points about his actions. I'll come to that later. But this is the idea behind why gamification works in various verticals if you set it up right. So just I will combine these things. So gamification on one hand in our pocket, and I'll just briefly mention about what we did in Turkey in terms of precision livestock management. This is important. It's also part of my PhD, but it's important because the farm in a farm environment, we should be able to get that digital trace, right? If we have that digital trace of what is going on in the farm, in the paddocks, what is going on in terms of human to animal interaction in the farm, then we have a chance, we have a likelihood to set up a game environment, a gaming environment, which would then work ultimately, eventually towards positive animal welfare. So these were the components we developed back in Turkey. This is for intensive sheep breeding farms. Like we have a handling unit there are cameras in it. We have a newborn scale here. So when a new lamb is born, you put it inside, and through Bluetooth, its weight is recorded in the system, and the data is being transferred to cloud without human intervention, which is critical. And then this animal handling unit has cameras around it, and on top of the paddocks in the barns, we have also cameras that are detecting for certain behavior of animal, like the duration of staying in the laying down position, standing up position, the proximity of animal to the fattening lots, and that kind of animals overall welfare related data has been captured through using this precision livestock management system. And in overall, obviously, we didn't have the idea of gamifying the farm environment back in Turkey, but it improved productivity and decreased lamb mortality significantly. This was also part of one European Union project, ISAJ, called ISAJ. So, but these are the fundamental ways of keeping digital trace. Later we will be gamifying it. I'll skip that. Now, let me talk briefly about what we did in UAE University, because we use this gamification platform, as I mentioned. There are games that we had three types of games, and three types of audience. One is the animal science students, the other one is the veterinarian students, and the third one is farmers. So totally different group of people, totally different group of KPIs, if you like. Whatever they want to achieve is totally different. And so we had three different types of games. In these games, as in the first phase, we used only learning. Learning was the key content of these games in the first phase. And in later phases, we will be using more digital trace that we could extract from the farms. But the first phase was about that. And I said, as veterinarians, they focus on treatment. Their main focus is it's starting after the animal is sick. And animal scientists is more focusing on prevention, and farmers obviously on profitability. But yeah, the idea was that whether we could have a game design that each group of people runs towards their own goals, but this would eventually be also in favor of positive animal welfare, so that there's a win-win-win situation scenario for all the stakeholders. That was our goal. And because when animal welfare increases for veterinarians, their treatments is easier. Animal scientists prevention is definitely they are in a better position when the animal welfare is high, and farmers definitely will profit more if the animal welfare is high. I mean, their goals are the same, but different KPIs. So in the first game, we split it. We used this dependent missions, so that if you complete the first one, then you will be eligible to go for the next mission, and then the next mission. There, it's locked at the moment. So keeping a subsequent mission as locked is yet another game mechanic that triggers curiosity and intrinsic motivation. So they'll be very interested to learn what is in the level two, intermediate questions. And whenever they earn points out of these questions, we had video based, picture based, and multiple choice questions throughout in these levels. And the first and the last questionnaire aimed to measure the level of awareness of the student, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. And so this is the overall picture of the game plan. So the dependent missions from basic to mastery, and duels were there for the students. They were very much engaged with this. We couldn't stop the game even because they wanted to challenge each other and all along the game. And pre-test profiling and post-test game evaluation was there, and we had three groups of players, as I said. So in terms of results that we extracted out of this, we had some outcomes out of this. Dr. Ebru would better interpret these results, but in terms of animal welfare relatedness to the healthcare of the animal veterinarians seem to lag behind, a little bit behind than the others. So there are so many lessons learned out of this as well. And in terms of their strengths and weaknesses, what should be improved. We were able to extract data without any barrier in terms of sharing insights and sharing their opinions. The students, the veterinarian students also, they were very generous because they were, participating a game, and the story was a little bit different. It was not a regular questionnaire or those questions they were being asked. They were like challenging others in terms of earning more points and standing out in the competition, basically. And so, yeah, difficult. Yeah, the questions difficult by level, from easier to more difficult, and each groups performed different. So you can interpret these results offline after the presentation, but yeah, there were so many things learned out of this. So I will just briefly mention you about the next steps that we are planning to do. Um, at the moment, we are setting this up in the university research farm, setting up the technology to extract digital trace of animal being treated in groups, but being capturing data at individual level. And so there are certain metrics that we have come up with already, like on-time feeding. So the cameras detect whether the on-time feeding is happening, and whether the animal is giving the outdoor access at the right time is being captured again by AI cameras. And the cleanliness of the paddocks. So there's certain routine that the shepherds, I mean, the labor within the farm is supposed to do, and that's being captured in certain intervals throughout the day, throughout the cameras. And quality feed is something that is essential. So for the caretakers, labor within the farm, these are the main digital trace points that they can be rewarded. Farmers, to be able to invest in the quality feed, maintaining proper paddock sizes. These are again, they will be earning points towards positive animal welfare, but they will also impact their productivity and overall profitability out of this business. And for the veterinarian of the farm, so within this handling unit, there is this AI camera that detects the animal's sickness, and the laser coming from face, or there are several other checks that we conduct within the animal handling unit with regards to the animal's illness. And there's this also the healthcare area within the farm, and each animal is identified, and when there's an illness detected in an animal, that's also a digital trace. So these are the digital traces that the veterinarians will be actually rewarded and gaining points out of. So we are planning to conduct a game plan out of these digital traces, and there are many more that can be collected in a farm. And so as long as there is the consistent and action in the farm by these stakeholders towards their goals, eventually animal welfare is positively impacted out of this action, and they will each be hitting their targets in terms of what they would like to achieve, even though animal welfare is not their primary goal. That's the indirect goal, which enables all of the group's actions. So so this is just one example of detecting animals, when during the day when they are internal, because we are referring to indoors sheep breeding practices here. So also in Turkey, in United Arab Emirates. So the animal the breeding way of sheep breeding way is more not through the pasture, but more it's intensive operation. And that's why we have this the chance of through cameras detect all the actions, the cleanness of the paddock and feeding lots, whether they are, they are fully occupied during the day, whether it is automated feeding or manual feeding, doesn't matter. But whether the animal is setting up a straight line during the feeding times with no spaces in between, so that the shy feeders are not left out. Now, these are the digital traces that we are collecting as we speak, and this is going to be part of this game mechanic, if I'm clear to explain to overall the game plan here. Maybe when I receive questions, it's going to be more clarified. But that's the idea. The sensor data, the camera data, is in the next phases we will be using to achieve positive animal welfare through a behavioral change of the stakeholders. So this is the end of my presentation, Dr. Ebru. If you have any questions, I'll be very much pleased to respond.
Hi, thanks for the really interesting presentation. I'm sure that there'll be lots of comments and questions since it's a really new topic. At least for me, it's really new. So I just wanted to remind everyone that if you like to ask any question, you can write that up in the chat box, or you can also raise your hand and we will call your name. If you like to give us a comment, feedback to the work that's been done, or any question that you may have. So while we give the audience some few minutes to think of questions and type them into the chat, Bahadir, I would like to ask you, so I was wondering around, so I think it's a really great project, and it looks like it's giving really good positive reaction from the farmers. So about that, I was actually quite curious about how was that first approach with the farmers? Because from my experience in my home country in Chile, most of the time farmers are not, they're very hesitant on talking about animal welfare, or even if you're approaching them about it, you need to talk about animal health instead of animal welfare. So I was wondering how this could then be applied, whether it would be a challenge that you encountered, and whether this could then be used, how to approach the farmers in other countries.
Yes, indeed. Very good question. Yeah, that's their motivation. It's you need to talk about profitability, if otherwise doesn't make much sense to them. Indeed, but remember in my presentation, I was also trying to refer to productivity, profitability when I talk to farmers. I mean, because the animal welfare is not direct goal, it's indirect here in this sense, so that you can engage them. So the adoption of any technology in farms is the key problem here, is the key milestone that you should overcome, you should achieve. Because if they are not profitable, they will not be willing to employ any technology, new technique whatsoever. For them, it's just cost. So, in our experience, both in Turkey and here in UAE, so to engage, first of all, the farmers that we were able to engage with were relatively younger farmers, and more relatively those farmers who were, contemplating over starting up a farm business as a side hustle, not their core business, like white collar people. They want to be part of this journey of producing food for the planet, because they are aware, due to the fact that the climate change and everything, economy and all that is going in a way that, doing efficient agriculture in general makes quite sense from an entrepreneurial point of view. So they are very much inclined towards hearing what is available up there for to adapt and to do, and so that they create a difference in the competition, and they can start up a business about this. And those type of farmers, they were very willing to cooperate. And the PLF solution that I presented, there were those 7, 8 farms who already employed these technologies in their systems. So it was again relatively easier for them to engage. And in UAE, intensive breeding is the primary thing. There's no other way to do. And what we did was, well, we used first, if in case you come up with a project to them that will require their effort and time, they will not ask for it. But if it's like a quick, game that they can be part to this, then you can get more value out of it. But then, as a step by step, to be able to apply game mechanics and gamification to farms, first they should take on this PLF systems somehow, the cameras whatsoever, and see its clear benefit to them. And then once it's there, once there's digital trace, then you can offer them way of measuring actually profitability. For me, measuring animal welfare is directly about measuring profitability. And if you are able to explain this to them with numbers, with historical data and other farms, then they will want to visit those farms. They want to physically go there and see with their bare eyes that really whether this works. This is traditional way of being convinced, right? If otherwise, it will be very hard for them. But step by step, this is the practice. They go and they see, with videos, pictures. We show, look, if you start measuring, then you can manage it. If otherwise, it's not going to make any sense to you. And if they employ more and more PLF technologies inside, then they are already collecting digital trace. Then after that, we could be able to apply gamification for, again, positive productivity for them, but positive welfare for the animal.
Okay, so I understand this about talking about what they can achieve by engaging in this project. I mean, in this application, right?
Yes, indeed.
Oh, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So I'm seeing here that someone has put up a question for you. This is Leslie Prior. I hope I'm not butchering the name. So they say very good scheme. What welfare qualification do you think farmers should try to achieve? Will you offer these qualifications?
So maybe just to clarify the question a little bit more for me, welfare qualifications. So I need a little bit more details to this question. Thank you for the question, Leslie. After
Maybe
we
the
provide
person
that,
that's asking the question can jump in and explain a bit more what they are referring.
Hi,
Dr.
yes, can you
Hi.
hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, hi. Yeah, thank you. I think this is a very, very interesting piece of work, and I'm very pleased to see this. I'm in England, by the way, in the UK. It's just that on your presentation, you mentioned that farmers could try to achieve welfare qualifications. That was one of your next steps for farmers. And I was interested in which welfare qualifications. Are you familiar with any schemes that we can try to acquire or achieve? Because in this country, we have several positive welfare schemes available to us, which concentrate on animal behavior. And these are very, very good. And but very few farmers take them up. And mainly for the reasons you mentioned: time, cost, no effect on profitability. So I'm interested in what you think we should try to do, because I'm very positive about this. I want to do this very much. And I'm sure other farmers do as well. What do you suggest? What have you got in mind?
Yeah, thank you. Now I understand it better. Yes, well, in terms of in farm animals welfare qualifications, there are certain ones that we have been focusing on. And well, these are maybe, I think that's called the five. Hi, hello,
Hi,
Leslie.
hi.
Good to see you. Um, well, the five freedoms, and Dr. Ebru could help me more about this as well, because this is her domain expertise, right? I'm just talking about this as being a farmer myself, but other than that, I'm coming from technology background, as you know. So the five freedoms, we've been focusing on this. Hunger is the number one.
Yeah.
Discomfort is another one. I mean, because we've been building AI cameras and the models that would be able to detect this. So once we detect this, there are various factors about this. It's maybe the labor, maybe the farm owner and the procurement, and the feed itself is not good enough. The animal has this hunger. If we detect that state, then we can from there on reverse engineer all the way to understand what was wrong in the overall process. And if we apply, as in this in this presentation I've been describing, the game mechanics to be able to motivate people towards the right behavior. But first, we should be able to detect this, so that then we will start to change the behavior, right? Because we should be 100% sure about what is wrong in this farm and what is causing this hunger situation in the animal. And then, we can, after that, contemplate on how to organize a game plan, and make the behavioral change, etc. So hunger was one of them. Discomfort is another one that we focused, and the pain, like
Yeah.
if lameness, pain, and then within the because these were relatively easier for us to understand. Fear was one of them. Fear, it was a bit harder, but because we had night cameras, and if the animal, it's not easy to collect data honestly on those scenarios where the animal is fair. I'm talking about sheep, by the way. I'm just a sheep person. And also the freedom to express normal behavior is the other qualification that we wanted to be able to measure, which is very relatively, it was relatively easier. Cuddling behavior, during for it's an example in the lambing, right before lambing paddock, because we have 14 different paddocks for representing physical, in the lambing cycle of the sheep. In each cycle, physiological stage, we keep the animal in separate paddocks, right? So right before lambing, last 40 days, if it is, the giving birth time is coming, then we were able to detect the fact that the animal was going away off the group. That's actually normal behavior, provided the fact that the bird is about to come, because then it wants its own autonomy, right? It wants to have its space, so starts, putting in, this is the normal behavior. So we defined what is normal in which paddock and what's not normal, and we try to detect that. So once these qualifications are being detected, and the violations of these behaviors are detected, then we have this chance to motivate. And we have the farming software as well, right? So the data is being collected all together in one software, so you can see the results immediately after doing the actions, the behaviors. Then you see the outcomes. If then you say, like, you're doing it not good, you're doing good, you're doing not good, and you earn points, you miss points, and then it's possible to gamify.
Thank you. That's good. Thank you.
Sure, sure.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So there is another question coming up here, and I would like, sorry, there is another question coming. I don't know what I was thinking. There is another question coming here from Susanne Weiblinger. She's saying, interesting project, thanks. I agree that a farm needs also be able to survive economically. However, ensuring their animals' welfare should nevertheless be a motivation by its own. And as for many farmers that I know, even if not always achieved completely. We should also teach them to see their animals as living beings with needs, and to fulfill this should be a reward in itself. Couldn't they forgot about the animals if looking too much on the techniques? So
Yeah.
yeah, so
Yes.
that's the
Well,
question.
I understand that, obviously. Economic survival is, I think, important, right, to be able to continue to do the business. But caring for animals definitely is a moral, and, it should be an emotional motivation for the farmers. I couldn't agree more. And yeah, I mean, the animals are living organisms with their needs, right? It's not just the production unit. I totally understand where you're coming from, and it's obvious to the thing. Yeah, I mean, look, and let's forget about farming business for a moment. Okay, let's think about insurance company or a bank or a retail company, right? These are the companies, if I'm referring to particularly white collar offices, right? These are all made up of people, right? Working in buildings and working together and in collaborating with each other, right? Still, our focus in such businesses where they are also making money out of whatever they are doing, our focus is again in those businesses too much on technology and data, because we should, even though there's this human factor. Sometimes, we don't like, some employees doing in terms of what they're doing with their work, and they are fired, or they are not accepted in the environment, even though they are human. They have emotions too. I mean, they want to be able to survive by making money, and but still, companies focus on technology and data. So I'm not blaming any farmer who is focusing on technology and data to understand where they are at, because it's a business and because it's livestock. Yes. But I totally empathize with you that farmers, ideally, again, might not be losing this human and empathetic connection to the animals themselves, as long as what that is also, working in a positive correlation with their profitability and productivity. That's the fact of running a livestock business. If I'm clear.
Well, I would like to add something about Suzanne's comment that I totally agree with her. As a sheep breeder and as an animal scientist and academician and everything, I did also sheep farming for more than 15 years. And Dr. Bahadir Odevci was our project partner as a technical guy. When I wake up, the first task I do, I go and feed animals. And I was thinking, like, it is not fair to feed myself before I feed animals, right? Because yes, animal breeders, animal farmers, first of all, they need to have some certain level of love for animal. You cannot force this love. You cannot force this empathy. But on the other hand, farmers will not see the positive outcomes in terms of the profitability in their operation. So it requires quite a lot of time when you look at an economical point. So, but when I experience, given the more space to animal, given the priority of animal needs, space, housing condition, cleanness, even my house sometimes, was more dirty than the animal, housing conditions. But when we are expecting the same manner from the farmers, wouldn't be so realistic. But if we can find a way to convince them with the scientific outputs and the evidence, they will have an increase in terms of the economic outcomes when they really care about animal welfare in terms of giving more effort and putting so much interest and focus on positive welfare. So if they are convinced that eventually they will get a positive outcome in terms of the profitability in their business, they will definitely adapt this positive welfare modification in their farm. Even sometimes it will require a sacrifice from their own daily life and comfort.
I give just one or two examples, Dr. Ebru, on top of that, because there are some ironic examples in this context, I think, which would make sense because we are actually talking about engineering livestock management practices, engineering of a living organism, engineering the production of living organisms. So there is this engineering perspective where we look into technology and data, but there is this living organism perspective too. So we should be very careful about the distinction between focusing on technology and data versus focusing overly over the animal due to the fact that we love them. So what I'm trying to say is loving the animal is also a little bit about engineering the process so that, as an example, they are not overfed. If you like if you give too many energy dense feed to the animal, just because you love them, it will cause obesity, and rumen will be problematic, right? It will create lameness. So you should be careful not to overfeed, even though it's level feeding is a little bit our mothers would like us would like to feed us as much as food possible, right? This is how we see it. Like as an example, if you keep them indoors because you think I want to protect them because there's outside danger whatsoever because you love them and you want to keep them indoors, it might worsen the air quality inside. This is the respiratory diseases and lameness again. So you need to be careful about what is the love you give to the animals. If you're excessively kind in terms of handling during lambing time, this can disrupt even lamb bonding. This is very careful. You have to be very knowledgeable about the type of and the amount of love you want to give to the animal at that lambing time, because even lamb bonding is more important than your love towards them. If in case, yeah, I mean, sometimes we want to skip or delay shearing. Shear the wool. You take off the wool, right? Shearing, because if you think like it's a stress system. But be careful because then the heat stress will hit them. I mean, because you shouldn't be delaying it. So sometimes human judgment is quite sentimental about making the right decisions in the farm in favor of positive animal welfare. As an example, I always give in Rotterdam, the port doors are being operated autonomously, not in the hands of a human, manually, intervening and closing the doors in case of it's raining whatsoever. So there's something, no emotions there. It's autonomous to making the decision to close so just I wanted to emphasize that this is such an interesting business, but I totally understand where the point made here.
Thanks
I wanted
for
to
the
give some
insight.
interesting examples.
Sorry, I interrupted. Okay,
I wanted
thanks
to
for
give
the
interesting examples of this.
yeah. Yes. Thanks for the insight. It's really sad that we don't have a lot of time to keep the discussion going. But I'm sure that you'd be happy to be contacted about this in the future. So to start to wrap up, I just would like to thank you once again for the very interesting talk and presentation and the topic you have brought to us today, which was quite novel. And we also would like to thank Lyft for facilitating this talk and the audience for attending this meeting and participating. And lastly, we would like to thank Isaiah for sponsoring the webinar series. So now usually we advertise the next webinar, but unfortunately or fortunately, For you, we haven't yet confirmed any speaker for the next date, which is the 1st of December at the same time. So if you would like to present a topic of your in relation to animal welfare, then please go to our link that has been shared before so that you can apply. And yeah, so with that, I just would like to say thank you once again and have a nice rest of the day. So with this, I'm gonna stop the recording.